Hi everyone, it's Gloria here from Scraps of Life, and I want to welcome everyone to my new and improved studio, all neatly organized and tidy. I'll take you around in a second and show you all the different parts of the studio and how I store things. But here's sort of just an overview of the space and a nice look at our brand new hardwood floors that we just had installed this past week. Took out a lot of really grungy carpet and put hardwood down the stairs. Absolutely beautiful. Then you see back here a whole series of bookshelves. The school shelves are one full shelf and one small section of a second shelf, and then Craft World has taken over all of the rest. And then we swing over to my craft desk, my paper storage, then all of my craft storage, and I will give you a peek into all of those bins and doors in detail. This is my cutting and scoring station. I have a large flat surface here that I have my paper trimmer, my scoring tool, my Grand Caliber and Big Shot live here. It looks like a lot of nice open space, but it generally gets all piled up. If you looked at the photos at the beginning of this video of what my before looks like when I'm actually working, it tends to get very, very messy here. I have some of my creations displayed. These are some of my favorite things that I've made with Graphic 45. And then down below, you see I have two drawers, storage drawers. They're very deep credenza type drawers where I store seasonal items, projects that are sort of on hold, maybe layouts that I've made that don't have pictures on yet, but two drawers full of basically stuff. Then I have a cabinet here, and this is where I store my design team boxes when I get them. Sorry for the shadow. Graphic 45, Hampton Art stamps, 7 Gypsies, whatever I've been sent for my design teams kind of lives in here. This is new. I used to have this sitting just all over the floor, but now it's all nice and neat. And you can see I've got two large 14 by 14 boxes filled with Graphic 45. All this is opened, partially used. It's what I've been creating projects with for the last 3 years. I've been on that team for 3 years now, and this is my 3rd year, I should say. So lots of paper. Now if we swing around and look at the rest of this cabinet underneath, I've got some just totes filled with stamps, dies, embossing folders, paper, and then there's you can see a container filled with paint that I've propped up there. Since I designed for Hampton Art stamps and also Graphic 45 has stamps, I've got a lot of those here at my fingertips, things that I use all the time. And I've got another drawered section here. This one holds all of my glue, the glue that I use all the time, scored tape and gloobers, glue dots, that sort of thing. The rest of it holds Graphic 45 mostly. Some of the staples and other larger items live here. And then above I have more storage. It sits on another nice surface with a lot of cubbies and then doors filled with other product I'll show you here in a second. I use these bins that are really meant for the garage, for nuts and bolts, things like that, but I store all of my embellishments, brads and little metal items, pins, I don't know, whatever. It's just a lot of just little bits of pieces that I've got sorted out in these bins. And then here I have my glue gun, heat gun, little station with those sorts of things. And then more of the drawered containers. These are all dies, spellbinders, and then some other of the thin dies like My Favorite Things, paper tray, ink. They all live in these drawers. if you can just kind of take a quick peek, a lot of the things that I store are in these containers that are for CDs, but I put dies and then I label the die. It works pretty well for me. When you have this much stuff, storage is difficult. It's difficult to store things in a neat and attractive way, but this is very workable and everything's all labeled. I know where everything is. Let's go this way. You can see I have some cubbies. I keep Graphic 45 paper pads that have not been opened. These are kind of waiting. I keep chipboard and grunge board, grunge paper, and then I keep Graphic 45 older collections and sort of loose sheets that are left over from classes. And I also keep a box of photos, things that I want to work with currently. And then in the cabinet above, I keep glue, paint that I use all the time, and then some other inks, stickles, mist, Copic refills, just all of that messy stuff. You can see back there, lots of stuff. And I have tools up here, cinch, Xyron, bind it all. Some cubbies here where I keep my stamping paper that I use with coloring with Copics, and then eyelets, brads, little bins of tiny items, and some excess dies here. If you can see, if you look at the top of the doors, I've hung up some layouts that I've made. Some of these are very lumpy, hard to put them in an album. But also some of the favorite things I've made in the last, say, year or so I put here. And I've got a few more items at the top, things I've made. And some more storage. This is a bin of all of my paper flowers from like Prima or Wild Orchid Crafts, the roses that I use all the time. I have a huge bin of those up there. Now let's look in the cupboards, the bins here. I've got buttons and floss. I think I have some bottles of flowers there in the back. I like to store my buttons in these Glad containers. They're really meant for food, but they really work well to store buttons because they're stackable. So I've got buttons mostly sorted by color. I've got a few bins that are sort of a mishmash. And the next cupboard I have my Sizzix dies, the large dies, my Tim Holtz, and then just some odds and ends of things that I couldn't find another home for, so they live in here. Now I want to bring you around to the paper racks. These metal cubbies that my husband wired all together for me. This is the back side. I just hang some things on the back. Projects and templates, things like that. So here's the front of the paper rack. I have everything sorted, cardstock on one side sorted by color, and then my non-Graphic 45 paper sorted by manufacturer on the other side. Again, it's not pretty, but it works really well for me because I have so much stuff. You can see I have a couple of boxes on the top where I store works in progress, layouts that I'm waiting to post, that sort of thing. This is a closet that is right behind where my paper racks are. It's in the hallway here between the kids' bedrooms. And we store school supplies in here, but if you can really take a close look, you see that a lot of overflow crafting materials live in here too. And then on the door I hang this rack. It's really meant for shoes, and I bought it for school. It's very primary colored, but as the kids got older, I took over more and more pockets. You can see foam brushes and spray adhesive, different refills, and I see a hammer. You never know when you need one of those. Now let's have a quick look at my work desk. I'm very pleased that I have such a large work desk space, even though when I'm really working heavily I tend to have a 6x6 square that I'm working in, but it starts out big. I keep things that I use every day, glue, ink daubers, acrylics. See my Tim Holtz tin, and then I have my craft caddy, my Tote, lives here with all of my really important tools that I need every day. Brushes and small trimmers, rulers. Because I do scrapbooks, cards, mixed media, altered art, I have a lot of tools that I need to use every day. And then next to my desk I have another tote that I store ribbon, and you will see that this is, again, really messy, but it works for me. Each ribbon family has a plastic bag, a Ziploc bag, filled with that ribbon color. And I really need to start paring this down. Being on a ribbon design team has really filled this up, but it works for me for now. And I have my Copic bag that is filled with my Copics. They live down here now. I have the punches that I use on a regular basis, border punches, and then a drawer of 8.5 by 11 paper in different colors. Now let's take a look at my tote storage. This is what I worked really hard on the past few days to get all organized and labeled. I love using the clear totes. They work really well for me to store my items. Again, I have a lot of stuff. So let's have a little close-up here of some of these bins. I store at the very top things that I don't get into very often. They're really heavy, so it's hard for me to get them down. A lot of Stampin' Up! Stamps and inks. I keep Christmas and fall up here. And I just have things sorted by basically topic. So this shelf is inks, glitter, paint, that sort of thing. And then I've got what I call my ephemera, tickets, doilies, envelopes, treat bags, one empty bin. I can expand by one bin. Graphic 45 staples, Pro 31 Designs product, and then I've got two boxes here with things I haven't put away yet. They're labeled. I don't know if you can see it. They're labeled this and that because I think I'm funny. I've got some bins of punches. These are punches that I don't use very often. They might be holiday or just things I don't use, but I can't throw them out because you never know when you might want it. Then I've got bins of cards that I've made, and then matching envelopes in these boxes, and I might store Christmas cards, things, again, that I don't need on a regular basis, and a few idea books and binders with ideas in that I have down here. I've got two shelves. I don't subscribe to very many magazines these days, and I try to cull them because they take over. And then I've got bins of stamps. Again, these are just sorted in a way that makes sense to me. It might not make sense to everybody else, but I have them in a way that is organized to suit how I think. Lots of stamps. And then my bins of 6x6 paper, alphabetized by company and then by collection. Then up here, silk or paper flowers, things for Christmas, other floral sorts of things, and my bling, my pearls. And then in this last, my daughter has one shelf for school. She's graduating in a year, so she just only needs one shelf. And then I'll have that next year. This is my chipboard shelf. A lot of bins of chipboard. Again, my Cricut. I don't have many cartridges. Again, I don't use my Cricut very often. And then a bin of what I call overflow markers, things for my Big Shot, colored pencils, more adhesive, adhesive that I don't use often, but I don't want to part with it. And then mini albums, and then down here I have more mini albums that are waiting for me to fill them up. So that's my studio. I hope that you enjoyed this little look into where I work